Good morning, students. Welcome to your science class. Students, today we are going to start. It's the first day of our online class in this year. So, we are going to start with block 26, which is control and coordination in humans. I hope all of you would have taken and collected your book from the school. If you haven't done so, please do it at the earliest and complete all your pending work at the earliest. Utilize this time. Finish. Most of the students have not completed their worksheet. It's important to utilize this time and complete all the pending work which is there. So we are going to start with our section 1, which is the nervous system. And the first thing is what we are going to need. What we are going to need is we are going to need our worksheet. We are going to need our notebook as well as the exceed content book. Here are the list of the keywords which I will be using it very frequently in this class. The first thing is the nervous system, the second is the central nervous system, the third is the peripheral nervous system, then the sensory system, the motor, and interneuron is what we will be using commonly in this class. So the aim is to we will be able to describe the functions of the nervous system, and we and how does it coordinates with voluntary and involuntary muscles, and we are also going to talk about the reflex action in our body. So students, there is a small activity which I want you to do. I want you to move your hands up and down. Okay, great. Now, can you try keeping your eyes blinking for some time? Were you able to move your hands? Can you stop blinking your eyes for some time? Can you try control not to blink the eyes throughout the day? Right? Why? What would you do if you accidentally, if you touch a sharp pen? So, students, to answer all these questions here, okay, now you can stop blinking your eyes, as you can see it here. Right? What would you do if you accidentally touch a sharp pen? So, students, the first thing is that some action which I was talking about was voluntary. So, that is under your direct control, and you will find some actions which are involuntary, that is beating of your heart, right? Blinking of eyes, that is not under your direct control. So, moving hands up and downs, moving your legs, these are all voluntary actions. When you want, you do that. When you don't want, it doesn't happen. But when we accidentally touch a sharp pen, so what will happen? Or if you try to touch a burning flame, immediately you will remove your hand away from it. So the sudden reaction which you find is called as the reflex reaction. So what are the so today we will learn about nervous system quad. How does it coordinates with our body? Now, the first thing is what we are going to identify is the different parts of our nervous system. So, to answer this question, our nervous system is divided into two parts, which is CNS, which is called as the central nervous system, and PNS, which is called as the peripheral nervous system. Now, here you can see it in the chart. How does this complete thing is explained? So this is the human nervous system, then we have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, then at last we have the brain and the spinal cord, and somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system, which is also called as the sensory and motor respectively. So this chart pretty much covers most of we have discussed it here. Now, when I talk about this, the CNS consists of the brain and the spinal cord. Now, but when I talk about PNS, it is made up of all the nerve in the human body. Now, this nerve is further divided into somatic and autonomic nervous system. So here the neurons is involved in the process of reflex action, which are sensory neuron, interneuron, and motor neuron. So if you get a questions how many types of neurons are there, your answer should be there are three types of neurons. Now, when I was talking about touching a hot object, so what exactly happens here is that first our skin senses the burning sensation. So the sensory neurons takes this signal from the skin to the spinal cord, and then interneuron transmits signals from sensory neuron to the motor neuron. So this motor neuron will transmit the signal to the muscle of the hand, and that is when ultimately the hand is removed. Now, we have another question here, which is what are the three types of neurons involved in uh, reflex action? So, as I discussed just now, so the answer would be the so your answer would be the sensory neuron, interneuron, and motor neuron. So these are the three types of neurons. What happens in the step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4? So here is what the activity is there. It's given in your book. If you turn to the page, you can see that it's there is a structure of the nervous system, and you have to make a word web for it, and you will have to interpret what happens. So this is something which can be done in the class, but I would like you to just go through it and try to answer these questions if you can find those there. Now, in generalized section, what is the function of each part of the nervous system? Now, every part of our body performs some kind of function. Now, what are those? So, the first thing is when I talk about the CNS. The CNS will control all the activities in the human body, and the PNS will transmit the messages from the organs to CNS and vice versa. So, in simple words, what we can say is that these two are interrelated to each other. Why do we remove our hand immediately on touching something hot or sharp? See, this somatic nervous system generally transmits the message between the sense organ and the CNS. Now, when this happens, the autonomic nervous system coordinates the involuntary actions in the body. So, what are the involuntary actions in the body? Like breathing, right? Beating of heart. So, what happens is we remove our hand immediately because of our reflex action. And when we talk about reflex action, it is coordinated with autonomic nervous systems, which is not under your control. It immediately you touch a hot object, you have to move your hand away, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, because this is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So what happens here, as I mentioned earlier, a signal is sent from the hand which is touching the hot or sharp object. It goes to the brain or the spinal cord, then the impulse I'm sorry, then an impulse is sent to the hand asking it to move away from that so that the pain can be stopped or can be reduced. How does nervous system respond when we don't eat for a while? So this is your high order question. So does nervous system has something to do with eating? Let's try to find the answer for that. Uh, when we eat food, so what happens is the food breaks down and forms glucose. So what does this glucose level does? The glucose level will increase in our bloodstream. So what happened if we don't eat for a long time? So the glucose level will drop down. So when the glucose level drop down, what happens is you will have less energy in your body. You will have less energy in your body. But when you eat something, the glucose level goes up and you are packed up with energy. So what will happen is when you don't eat for a long time, it will send a signal to the brain which will produce a sensation of hunger. So here also your hunger is somewhere related to the nervous system also. It's the nervous system which tells the brain that you are hungry and you need food to eat. So This brings us to the today's discussion. Question of the day: which part of our brain coordinates the involuntary action of the body? This is the question which you will have to answer in the Google form. So please answer it. Homework. First, I would urge you to complete all your pending work of your worksheet, then move further with S1 and complete practical question and additional question 1, 2, 3. Please maintain this format while answering the questions. You will put the name of the heading, you will put today's date, you will put section 1 nervous system, and you will then first complete question number 1, 2, 3 in the notebook, and then the additional question 1, 2, and 3. Please also ensure that you do your work on your regular basis. You will have to complete your work on your regular basis, and so that when the book is collected for correction, all the work is there. So students, just in case if you have any doubts or any questions, feel free to reach me through the comment section. So thank you for your time and have a wonderful day ahead.